This episode is brought to you by DistroKid.
When you think about businesses that are selling through the roof, like Aloe or Allbirds, sure, you think about a great product, a cool brand, and great marketing. But an often overlooked secret is actually the businesses behind the business, making selling, and for shoppers, buying, simple. For millions of businesses, that business is Shopify. Nobody does online business better than Shopify. It's home of Shop Pay, the #1 checkout in the world. You can use it to boost conversions up to 50%, meaning way less carts going abandoned and way more sales going through to checkout. Sign up for your $1 per month trial period at shopify.com/income, all lowercase. Go to shopify.com/income to upgrade your selling today. That's shopify.com/income.
Hey everybody, today's guest is guitarist and principal songwriter Ian Dench from the Gloucester, England alternative dance rock band EMF. Together we pull back the covers and take a deep dive into the writing, recording, and inspiration behind the smash hit single Unbelievable, taken from their 1991 album Schubert Dip. This song kind of has it all: dance elements, rock elements, hip-hop samples, a cameo from Andrew Dice Clay, and a punky swagger exacerbated by an overtly English accent. I told Ian that Unbelievable was absolutely everywhere when I first went off to college. So many memories from that time period were conjured up while I combed through this track. Producers Pascal Gabriel and Ralph Gizzard, along with the band, were creating something new here. The 80s were no more. This was a new decade, the 90s, and you could hear it. As you can imagine, this song shot the band out of a meteoric cannon, and by the end of the touring cycle, Ian needed a break. You could imagine his surprise when he booked a jungle safari in Ecuador to get away from everything, only to pull up to the village on the first day to hear Unbelievable roaring out of someone's radio. Be careful what you wish for, indeed. So stick around. This episode is Unbelievable.
Hey, hey, have you heard? Krista makes a podcast. Hey, hey, have you heard? Krista makes a podcast. Hey, hey, have you heard? Krista makes a podcast. Hey, hey, have you heard? Krista makes a podcast.
Ian, I've been smiling ear to ear all morning. This song takes me back to the very tail end of my high school senior year and into college at the University of Florida in Gainesville. And, you know, when you move away for the first time and you're on your own, and to think back, I shudder to think I was 17 and a half years old. I was still like 4 or 5 months shy of my 18th birthday. But if there's, one song that I remember just being absolutely everywhere in the summer of 91, it was Unbelievable. And congratulations.
Thank you for that, Chris. For me, it is the greatest thing to hear that a song sort of was useful for somebody at a particular time in their life. I had songs like that for me, and they're important. And we played a show the other day and somebody came up to me and looked me in the eye and he's like, "You don't know how important that song was for me. Your music was for me. You got me through some tough times." And it's sad I didn't have time to talk to him about that, but he almost had tears in his eyes. And the thought that maybe, my joy at creating and James and our band, the joy we have in creating together can transmit to somebody is why I do it. So when somebody says that to me, that is the greatest joy to me. So thank you, Chris. I'm glad that you enjoyed our song in your college years.
Well, yeah, it's, for me, this tune represented a lot of things. We weren't in the 80s anymore. This was a dance tune, but it was a rock tune, and that was something that was a 90s thing. I know you guys are closer to Bristol, where you're from. You're pretty far from Manchester, but as a kid, this sounded like what was happening in Manchester when the pianos come in. The English accent, to a kid living in America that never dreamed of ever going anywhere. You'd hear these accents on TV, and you could really hear it in the vocal in this song. That this wasn't just some American guy or somebody else. So there was all these components of it that, and the song just look what it's done. It became a stadium anthem. I mean, you hear this thing everywhere.
You're right, though, but I love it that we gave something to the States. But to be fair, we were giving something back, because what was happening for us is that we were going to clubs, and the clubs were playing like British indie bands like the Smiths and Echo and the Bunnymen, and those great guitar bands which we loved and was sort of our heritage in a way. But they were also playing Public Enemy and De La Soul and Cypress Hill and the hip hop, and they were just so cool, and the American accent, and we absorbed all of that. In Manchester, a lot happened because the Happy Mondays were doing it there, and the Stone Roses even sort of had a bit of that in the way they used those grooves and
the Wonder stuff.
The Wonder stuff. I mean, all those bands took those sort of halftime hip hop grooves and put songs on them and sent them back across the pond, to the States. So I love it. It was a symbiotic relationship, I think. And
I have so many questions in the song because there was a lot of elements that were really starting to happen, late 80s, early 90s, sampling, and we get the famous Andrew Dice Clay sample in here, which is just, it's hilarious to me that there was this act across the pond, as we say here in America, that took this sample. I mean, and he was a very polarizing individual. You either loved Dice Clay or you hated this guy. And regardless, it worked so well in context with the song, which we'll get into in a second. But I just want to talk a little bit about the band. Your debut single, Unbelievable, going to talk about today, was released in October 22nd of 90. And it reached the #1 position in the United States in July of 91. I got to Gainesville to study at uni in June 26th of 1991. So four days before the song hit #1. The debut album Schubert Dip was released May 7th of 91, certified platinum, over 1 million copies sold by September of 91.
You've done your homework. You know all the dates.
I've done a little bit here. The album Schubert Dip, which featured Unbelievable, was released and went to #3 in the UK. It was track #6 out of 11 on the album. Released on Parlophone. You had a couple of producers, Pascal Gabriel and Ralph Jezard. And these guys, I mean, it's a laundry list of accomplishments. It had to be great to work with them. They were very cutting edge, it seems, at the time.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, the strange thing is that Pascal wasn't available immediately. And we wanted to get a single out. So we used Ralph Jezard, who at the time was just a young producer. He'd done a couple of interesting things. He'd done some great punk bands, and he'd done some like techno remixes. So he sort of covered both sides of the things that we were interested in. And so we recorded Unbelievable, which was just meant to be like a taster single. And then it just took off. And it completely took off while we were recording the album with Pascal. And then it didn't go so well with Pascal. And we ended up finishing the album with Ralph. And then Ralph produced our second album. And strangely, then we did a third album with Johnny Dollar, who had done Massive Attack, and just went complete. God knows what happened with that one. And then, a couple of years ago, we came back and did another couple of albums. And with the last album, we thought, well, perhaps we could reach out to Ralph again, because he was working in the States. And I sent him a message saying, perhaps we could send you something. You could do a remix or do a mix or something. And he's like, oh, I've just come back. And he was living around the corner from my studio. It was like,
oh my gosh,
the stars aligned. And we got together again, and we did The Beauty and the Chaos, our last album, with Ralph again, which was just wonderful. It was a wonderful thing. Sadly, he passed away in the last few months, and sadly he had cancer. He was a lifetime smoker, but I'm so happy we got to do that last album with him. It was a great moment, and it sort of took us back. And some people say that the songs on The Beauty and the Chaos sound like they could have been on Schubert Dip or on Stigma. So it was a lovely tribute to him.
I'm so sorry to hear about your friend. We lost Ralph in February of 2025, and I mean, just his accomplishments alone. He engineered stuff like Cox Bar and The Damned back in the day, and all of this stuff led up to his first production job, which is unbelievable. That is unbelievable that was his first big
Right.
production job. I can't even believe that. And before we get in the song, we got a lot to cover, Ian, but I just want to brag about you a little bit. I mean, I've told so many songwriters and guys in bands over the years that write amazing songs. I said, hey, you might not be the guy on stage, but if you're writing songs of this caliber, you could have a heck of a career in this business and be that person. And outside of EMF, Ian, this is amazing. You wrote the duet Beautiful Liar for Beyonce and Shakira. I did not know that.
Let's not kill the drama. Let's not start a fight. It's not worth the drama for a beautiful life. Can't we laugh about it? It's not worth our time. We can live without him. Just a beautiful life.
Well, life is a funny thing, right?
Congratulations times 10. That's amazing.
Well, thank you. And coming from you yourself, you're a very accomplished person. You're doing this wonderful podcast, and you were in Less Than Jake. I mean, you're a polymath yourself, right? So coming from you, you get it, right? I mean, I don't know. Perhaps you're like me, and you're just like you sort of just say yes to things, and you just get excited about it. You're a glass half full sort of person. I think you've got to be creative, right?
Yeah. Well, because this business can chew you up and, or swallow you and chew you up, and it's spit you right back out.
Right. And you just got to kind of keep dreaming and putting stuff together and, being positive, collaborating with great people. And I think that's the Beautiful Liar with Beyonce and Shakira thing, was because I met this wonderful person called Amanda Ghost, and we worked on her album, and we ended up meeting somebody that sort of gave us this opportunity to work with Beyonce. And we met Beyonce and Jay-Z one day in this office, and they came in and they're like, hey, we want you to write a song. We love Unbelievable, that's great. And we was like, oh, well, great. Perhaps we could get to know you and work on some ideas. And because that's how we were used to writing songs. Back in the day, songs would sometimes take me months and Beyonce said to us, I'm sorry, I haven't got the time for that. We have the studio booked tonight at 8:00. See you there. Write a song. And we were like, okay. And we went back to the hotel and wrote Beautiful Liar. Played it that night, bang, out it came. And that was just one of those wonderful moments, when it all came together.
It all sounds so casual, Ian. After our meal, we went back to the hotel, we had a bath, we had a cup of tea, and we wrote the biggest song ever in 2007.
Right. Well, hey, listen, I write songs all the time, and the majority of them, they never see the light of day,
You
right?
said
So
it.
occasionally it works, right? So
You said it. Well,
so right?
Absolutely. You also served as VP of A&R at Epic Records in 2009. In 2010, you've collaborated with Florence and the Machine, Sub Focus, Jamie Callum, and others. You won the Ivor Novello Award for Beautiful Liar for the best-selling British song category in 2008. I could go on. EMF has played several reunions over the years. In 2022, the band released the all-new material album, Go-Go Sapiens. I love that title. And also did a short UK tour in the spring of 2022. And they're on tour right now this June in the US and UK, as well as Australia in August. And you're still doing it. I pinch myself all the time. Could you believe the train's still going?
I know, right? I mean, isn't it great? And I think I got a feeling I'm probably older than you. So keep it going.
Yeah. We got to get into this thing, Ian. It's 3 minutes and 29 seconds. It's one progression. It's a dance song. It's
Right.
one progression through the whole thing. You're in this world, but it's what happens in this world that makes the song the hit that it is. 12-bar intro. First thing I wrote, this song is one big chorus. Starts with a drum loop, synth bass groove right off the bat, and after the oh, we get some sporadic hits of the cowbell and a pair of stereo guitars playing the main guitar hook. The tambourine is nice and loud in the mix here, and there's also some single piano notes on the back half that come in to verse 1. After the oh, we get a what the, sounds like fuck, and then we get the what the fuck was that. In researching, I never knew this till today. I've been listening to this song for 35 years now, 34 years, and just realized that this is from, I believe, the Black Panthers.
Well, I need to set the record straight on this because
Yes.
number one, people think that the word fuck is in there, but it's not. People mentally pencil it in because, and to be fair, we wrote it on the lyric sheet on the album. We actually wrote it in because we wanted to be like cool and underground and dark and stuff. But on the other hand, we wanted the song to be played on the radio, so we didn't actually put it in there. So it's our own fault, but it's not in there. It was Ralph. Ralph had it on a cassette, that sample, and we had lots of sort of talking and stuff, and I chose that bit. And Ralph said to me that it was something about the Black Panthers, and it wasn't until I went to Ralph's funeral that I met somebody who had given him that cassette. And I said, well, finally, can you tell me what it is and where you got it from? And he says, no, I can't. It was another member of my band that gave it to me, and he's dead now. And so what that is, we will never know.
No kidding. Now, I had read a couple sources. You know how the internet rumors spread, and I had to ask. I had no idea.
Right. So I'm sorry, I can't. It was Fatima Mansions, a band called Fatima Mansions, and apparently their singer had the cassette, given it to their guitarist, who had given it to Ralph. It was just like people used to record things off the radio, off the TV, and just sort of press play and record, and it was some talking, and so I'm like, try and find out, see if you know anybody, and so I don't know where that came from.
Yeah, and again, it's a little odd, and only in the respect that this is an English band. You're hearing Dice Clay, but then you're also hearing this sample that sounds like an African American accent. So the whole
going, what was there?
So
yeah,
I never.
Sorry, I apologize to African Americans for my terrible accent.
No, it's. I never thought it was odd back in '91 listening to this song. It's now when I got it under the microscope here, I'm going, where did these guys come up with this?
Right, but it was what you mentioned before. When you said about hearing an accent, you get those things from the States and they just sound cool. And all the sampling that we heard was kind of there's a lot of American voices on there. We loved Big Audio Dynamite, and they'd sort of started the sampling thing.
Yeah, right.
Right. And just rap was interesting for us. That American accent, and just rap seemed cool. So to use American voices in a sort of rappy way was just another way of paying homage to rap and the music we were hearing, as well as using that break. That was a sort of fame. I think it's Eric B. and Rakim break, and I think they used it first.
Yeah, and this whole beat break, this loop that's happening again, it's so 90s, but it sounded at the time, it was, again, we weren't in the 80s anymore. This was ushering in a new sound. You could really, really feel it. It's just so cool.
You're always asking what it's all about. Don't listen to my replies. You say to me I don't talk enough, but when I do I'm a fool. These times I've spent I've realized I'm gonna shoot through and leave you the things you say.
You burden me with your questions. You'd have me tell no lies. You're always asking what it's all about, but don't listen to my replies. You say to me I don't talk enough, but when I do I'm a fool. These times I've spent, I've realized I'm going to shoot through and leave you. Is that the lyric? Shoot through?
Yeah, that's exactly right. Yeah.
Okay.
Well, to be, I wrote it about my girlfriend. In fact, all the songs that I wrote on the Schubert Dip album were about my girlfriend. I'd been going out with a girl for 6 years. She went off to college, and we we broke up, right?
Okay.
And a broken heart is a great driver for creativity, I think. And I was riding my bike, just every song I was writing was about her, right? So I'd written a song called Lies, and haven't seen you in a long time. You get the themes, right? So I'm thinking of themes to do with the way I'm feeling, and this word unbelievable, and I'm just thinking, hey, what's great about unbelievable is that it's sort of like unbelievable is, I don't believe you. There's some sense that you're not being honest with me, and also you're unbelievable, you're amazing, and that's sort of just really fitted for how I felt, because she'd gone off to do other things, and she didn't want to tell me about them, and and so I still, I was left behind in my little town in Gloucester. And so this was wonderful. And the things you say, your Purple Prose just give you away. The things you say, you're unbelievable. It just pop. And then that guitar riff came in, and the verse came up pretty much as well, because they were almost conversations I'd had with her. You burden me with your questions. You'd have me tell you no lies. You're always asking what it's all about, but then you don't listen to my. It's classic relationship stuff. And I apologize to Emma, my girlfriend, because she's had to put up with this ever since, me going on I wrote it about you, and
Hey, wait, you're still together?
No,
okay,
no.
Okay. I misunderstood.
But I vaguely know her, and she went on. She's now an artist. She's done very well, and I'm so pleased for her. But I wonder what it must be like having a song haunt you around the world.
Yeah, because this song is still everywhere. I don't care where you go; it'll pop up. I know.
Right.
I know you hear it probably in the oddest places. You're like, I can't believe I'm in this freight elevator in the middle of nowhere, and I'm hearing my song.
Tell me about it. Can I tell you a story about that?
Please do.
I mean, it was pretty crazy for us. It was constant touring, constant interviews, and then making another record, and then touring again, and it got crazy. And I just needed a break. So a couple of friends of mine and I, we went to Ecuador and went to the Amazon jungle. And I'm thinking, this is going to be great. I'm just going to get away from everything, right? And we get a trekker to trek us into the jungle, and there's this little town and a little shack in the middle of the Amazon jungle. And guess what's playing? And I'm thinking, and my friends looked at me and they're like, "Oh, I can't believe it."
Someone have a cassette player or a radio going out there?
I wish. No, I think, yeah, exactly. They had some sort of radio station playing. In
My
the
gosh!
shack, and
you're like, I just went to the farthest corner of the earth to escape myself, and here I am.
Yeah, middle of the Amazon jungle.
And now this is going back to pre-internet, everyone having a phone or whatnot. So, I mean, and they still found you out there in the middle of the jungle. I love that, though. That's just so, be careful what you wish for. Because, hey, we all wanted to do this, right? When we were young, and then we get burnt out, and then we get grumpy.
Yeah. And we did get a bit grumpy. And it gets tiring, though, right? Right? I mean, you've probably toured a lot yourself. And
well, I do, and I also don't know what you went through. I've talked to many of my friends that have, they're the next step up from my band. That's not a knock against us, but the press junket alone. When you're a superstar and you're up at 6 a.m, you're on morning radio at 7. You didn't go to bed till 4, 5. Okay, and some people might say, "Oh, poor rock star," whatever. You don't know what it's like until you do that.
Yeah. It's hard. They're long hours, and and if you're young and you think, "Oh, I'm just going to join a cool band and hang out," and all of a sudden, you're working really long hours
for sure,
and it does get to you, and when you're young, and I think people need a bit of support and need to be sort of looked after. And I'm not sure there's a duty of care in the music industry for young people who are coming across this for the first time. I have some friends in the football industry, and in the football industry, because they're the players' physical health is their asset. Really, there's a lot of lot of pastoral care. There's a lot of, but in the music industry, you're encouraged to do crazy things and go crazy because that's sort of part of it. And I'm not sure that's very good for young people. And
No, it's not. You know, giving a 20-year-old with unlimited cash funds the keys of the kingdom is could be a little.
that's going to be trouble, right?
That's going to be trouble for most kids. A lot of cool stuff happening in verse 1. And I want to just touch on something you said earlier, Ian. You mentioned that this was just me kind of having a conversation. That's exactly what it sounds like. And the one progression of the song is fitting, because this is just a 3.5-minute conversation that I now know is about your girlfriend. The loop with the tambourine continues here in verse 1, but it sounds like it goes to analog bass here. It's not the synth bass.
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah.
Exactly. There's two chord structures. So in the verse, it goes G sharp major, C sharp major, D sharp major, which is the classic 1-4-5
Yeah.
chord structure, like that. Well, bum 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 bum, round and round and round, with a sort of groovy bass playing it. And then when it hits the chorus, it just does that riff. Now, what I wondered where that riff came on. It came right out of just somewhere out of my head. Bang! I just had this idea. Bang! Went home, played this riff, and it got voted one of the best 100 guitar licks of all time by the BBC a couple of years ago, and which was a great thing. So I thought I wanted to think, where did this? What is it? What is this? What is it doing musically? And I started having a closer look, and what it does three things, right? So which are sort of elemental to my musical history. So one is it's got punk attitude. Now, my first band was a punk band. When I heard the Sex Pistols, it just changed my life. I'm like, this is what I want to do.
Yeah.
At age 14, I used my paper round money to buy a guitar, and that was it. I was in. So it's about guitar attitude. And then what happened to me after the punk thing is that I got interested in blues. I love the Doors. I love Robbie Krieger. And there's a little lick in there which goes from B to C, which is from the minor third to the major third, up to the D sharp. And that's a real classic, real classic sort of blues thing. And then on the way down, it does another thing, which is from Spanish flamenco guitar. Now, my father played the classical guitar, and my mother sang, and they played Spanish songs, and there was so much of that flamenco stuff in there. And so I'm like, so it's all these things, and I was working my scales and trying to understand guitar and musicals and scales, and all subconsciously, all these things went pop all together and came out, and I love it. It's a little snapshot of my musical history. And
I love that. Thank you for sharing that. When we get to the line, you say to me, I don't talk enough. It sounds like there's like a fluttery guitar noise or keyboard noise that's been manipulated, panned off to the right, kind of has elements like a record scratching or intermittent interference.
You say to me I don't talk enough, but when I do, I'm a fool. These times I
that is a backwards tom loop. It goes whoop, 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 whoop. And that was Ralph. Ralph's like, I just want to do a backwards tom loop. And so he like, we recorded it forwards and just span it backwards, and it does that weird thing.
Man, I got full goosebumps because I know you recorded this analog, okay? There was no Pro Tools fixing this stuff. And the dance bands, believe it or not, I'll give you guys all the credit for what happened digitally later, because you guys were processing sounds and sampling and doing this way before the rock guys were.
And Chris, it was a nightmare trying to sync things up. I mean, I don't know whether you've used MIDI in studios back in those days, but MIDI and discs, hard discs that when they used to spin, and then they wouldn't. You'd put all this stuff on them, and then they wouldn't load up, and we've lost everything. It was, and these days Logic is so easy to use. You just go plop, and it all goes in time, and it's so easy. And
back in the day, you realized that your tape deck wasn't it had to be tweaked a little bit. It was running a little bit fast, and oh my gosh,
right.
Why does the track sound sharp to the piano now? And
right, and that's it. It's and the tape would stretch, and suddenly got a tune, and it was a nightmare.
Hey everybody, don't go anywhere. We got lots more coming up with Ian Dench after a few words from our sponsors.
Looking to elevate your music career? DistroKid is a digital music distribution service. that enables musicians to distribute their music to online stores and streaming platforms such as Spotify, Apple Music, YouTube Music, Amazon, Tidal, and many more. DistroKid collects earnings and payments, sending them to you, the artist. With DistroKid, artists unlock a world of possibilities. From easily paying collaborators with splits, to securing your music with DistroLock, DistroKid covers all bases. Plus, you can promote your releases with Hyperfollow and create eye-catching visuals with the Spotify Canvas generator, all for free. But that's not all. Introducing the DistroKid app, now available on iOS and Android. Artists can manage their releases, view streaming stats, and withdraw earnings, all from the palm of their hand. And for those looking to perfect their sound, check out Mixia. With its simple interface and customizable mastering options, artists can make their music sound polished and professional within minutes. And don't forget about Instant Share, DistroKid's newest feature. Share large files securely with collaborators, producers, and more, ensuring your music streams at the highest quality. Ready to take your music to the next level? Download the DistroKid app and explore their suite of tools today. Plus, listeners can enjoy 30% off their first year by visiting distrokid.com/VIP/demakes. That's distrokid.com/VIP/demakes. Hey everyone, I'm thrilled to tell you about Frets and Refrains. This July, we're inviting you to join us in the beautiful Catskills at Full Moon Resort for a 4-day, all-inclusive songwriting and music in nature experience like no other. It's going to be a full week of incredible music, creativity, and connection. There will be one-on-one intensive songwriting and music making with Richard Thompson, family, and some incredible special guests. There will be intimate performances every night and hands-on workshops during the day, all while being surrounded by nature and a deeply relaxing scene around the brand new pool. Whether you're a seasoned musician, just starting out, or simply a fan, they've designed this year so there's something here for everyone. This is more than just an event. It's an opportunity to connect with the music, with artists, and with the amazing community of people who share your passion. Space is extremely limited because it's a truly personal experience. So don't wait. Grab your spot now. Everything's included: your lodging, meals, workshops, performances, and a whole lot of good vibes. Head to www.fretsandrefrains.com/demakes to learn more.
You may get a little excited when you shop at Burlington.
What a low price! You see that? They have my favorite brand! It's like a whole new Burlington! I can buy two!
I'm saving so much!
Burlington saves you up to 60% off other retailers' prices every day. Will it be the low prices or the great brands? Burlington. Deals? Brands? Wow! I told you so. Styles and selections vary by store.
This episode is brought to you by State Farm. Knowing you could be saving money for the things you really want is a great feeling. Talk to a State Farm agent today to learn how you can choose to bundle and save with the Personal Price Plan. Like a good neighbor, State Farm is there. Prices are based on rating plans that vary by state. Coverage options are selected by the customer. Availability, amount of discounts and savings, and eligibility vary by state.
This episode is brought to you by Tic Tac. Summer tastes like Tic Tac. Tantalize your taste buds this sunny season with citrus adventure and orange. 2 everyday flavors that bring summer in every. Tic Tac Citrus Adventure is a yummy, vibrant medley of lemon, lime, and mandarin. And Tic Tac Orange is the perfect mix of tangy and sweet. Visit us at Tic Tac USA on social to refresh your summer with Tic Tac.
The spirit of innovation is deeply ingrained in America, and Google is helping Americans innovate in ways both big and small. The Air Force Research Laboratory is partnering with Google Cloud using AI to accelerate defense research for air, space, and cyberspace forces. This is a new era of American innovation. Find out more at g.co/American innovation.
Hey everyone, Krista Makes here, and I've got some exciting news. Krista Makes a Podcast is now on Patreon. Your support is what keeps this show going, allowing us to bring you deep dives into amazing songs from incredible artists every week. When you join our Patreon at KristaMakes.com, you'll get instant access to hundreds of episodes of The After Party, our weekly bonus show where producer Chris Fafalius and I talk music history, trivia, tour stories, classic albums, and whatever else comes to mind. Plus, you'll get early ad-free episodes of Krista Makes a Podcast, unedited video versions of each episode, and, of course, a brand new episode of The After Party every single week. If our show brings you a little joy, help us keep it going strong for just a couple bucks a month at KristaMakes.com. Not ready to commit? No problem. You can sign up for a free membership while you decide. Thanks so much, everyone, and I hope to see you all at the after party.
And now, back to the show.
Another thing I want to talk about, I feel like we get two pre-choruses in this song. And I'm going to go out on the limb now and say the chorus is just when it stops and you say, you're unbelievable. Let me make that argument. You know, these times I've spent, I've realized I'm going to shoot through and leave you. That lyric is in there 3 times in the song. And then the very next part, it doesn't really lift like a chorus lifts here.
I leave you the things you say. Your paparazzi just give you away the things you say. You're unbelievable.
The things you say. Your purple prose just give you away. The things you say. You're unbelievable. And that was the lyric that you said came to you right out.
Yeah, that was it. That's just in a moment. That lyric, unbelievable, and the guitar riff in a moment. And then I think I wrote the verse in my bedroom, and then we went to the rehearsal that night. But you're right. It's like a strange pre. It's a rhythmic pre. It's boom ba ba boom boom ba ba. Yeah, because it just the bass line carries on through it. It's really nice. It's a lovely way that the boom ba dum bum ba da bum 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 ba dum bum, and that goes on, and the drums go boom ba ba boom boom ba ba, and then do the loop one time, then boom ba ba boom boom bum ba stop.
That's what I love about this shit. If you look at dance songs or rap songs, okay, they'll have the same lyrics in there a whole bunch of times. So you're getting all these hooks, and this song is just one big hook. A loud, playful piano comes in along with that stereo guitar lick here in the chorus. And we also get this lick, Ian, panned off left after the things you say. Wow, wow, wow.
That's it. Yeah.
And is that kind of one of those blues things you were referring to?
Yeah, it was. Again, heaven knows where that one comes from. I think that might have been off a sample record. And that dictated the whole key of the song. Because back in the day, we had a sampler, and you couldn't change the key of the sample. So we just had this great sample, and we thought, oh, well, that sample was in G sharp. And so we just had to do the whole song in G sharp. And thankfully that worked. And
yeah.
It was just a great sample that sort of fit. I mean, that's what's great about sampling. You sort of throw stuff at it, and strangely things just sort of sound interesting because they're sort of random, and it gives it another sort of chaotic but kind of cool feel. And that's what I love about sampling.
Now that I know this was directed towards your girlfriend, it was like a letter to her, it further makes sense that there's no backing vocals in this song, which is odd for a big dance song. But this is a singular thought from one person going to another human being. I love that.
Right. And I guess Andrew Dice Clay is our backing vocalist. He's going, oh, like, right.
Can we talk about that real quick? How did that come about?
Well, again, Ralph had shown up with all these records. And he's like, we had a couple of things. We had the guitar sample, and he's like, oh, is there anything on here you like? And we listened to Andrew Dice Clay, and we were a little bit like, this guy is a bit like, he's a little misogynistic, isn't he? But the fact that it was Rick Rubin and Def Jam that had released his record, we kind of thought, oh, well, that's gives us permission, doesn't it? I mean, he's cool. It's ironic. Surely it's ironic, right?
Yeah.
And so, bish bash bosh, we found a great sample, and then live we use another sample of him going, "You're fucking unbelievable," like this. And sorry again, my terrible American accent. I apologize.
That was pretty good, actually.
And then, but we thought, well, we need to clear this sample. And so we, it was back in the days of fax. So we used to fax this letter to the Def Jam offices. We're a new band. We've sampled Andrew Dice Clay. Can you please clear this sample for us? We don't want to use it without permission. And no answer, because I guess Rick Rubin's busy. And no answer. And the release date's coming up, and we went to Los Angeles to talk to the American record company, which was very nice. And they flew us out there, and we spoke about the release and stuff, and we just happened to walk into the Rainbow Rooms. I don't know whether the Rainbow Rooms is still there on Sunset. It's
it's still there in West Hollywood, the Rainbow Room.
Really?
Yep.
In West Hollywood? Oh,
yeah.
And it was a real haunt for the metal bands.
Oh, yeah.
And, right. And
that was a hair metal place for years. It still is, kind of.
Oh, good. I need to return there, because when I walked in, guess who was sat at a table but Rick Rubin? Because he's totally recognizable. He always had that long beard,
Yeah.
And he'd done the Beastie Boys, which we loved, and it was we knew Rick Rubin, who he was. And so I'm just I've got to just go and talk to him. And I went over there and I said, "Hi, Rick. I'm a great fan of your work. I hope I'm not disturbing you. It's lovely to meet you. And we've been trying to contact you because we used a sample of Andrew Dice Clay." And he was like, "Fax the office in the morning and I'll clear it." And he did.
No kidding.
And bish bash bosh. That's it. And then I think around exactly the same. Funnily enough, we stayed in the Hyatt Sunset, and there used to be the comedy club next to the Hyatt. And I think maybe perhaps the same night or the night before, Derry and Zach were just walking out of the hotel, and who pulls up but Andrew Dice Clay?
What?
Or this car? He's just getting into this car, and they run up to the car, going, "Hey, we need to talk to you. We use the sample." And obviously Andrew Dice Clay thought, "Who the fuck are these kids?" And he flips us off and winds the window up, and
hey, joke's on him, because 6 months later he's hearing it all over the world.
Right? I mean, I'm not sure. I'm not quite sure how he feels about it now, but hey, look, it's good. He gets a lot of exposure on it.
He does get a lot of exposure. The second round through, when you say the things you say, we get that guitar lick panned off left again, and then you're unbelievable. Just the vocal into an 8-bar reintro. We get the O, we get the what the, and we get the what the. I guess, what are we saying there? It's not the what the fuck. What is it? There's something.
What the was that? What the? I guess you're saying what the was that?
Okay.
I mean, it's just all a part of. They were great because they're like you're unbelievable. Oh, what the? Who is she? It's a bit like the girl from Ipanema, isn't it? It's like she's walking by and everyone's going wow, and in a slightly more aggressive way. And it's funny. Recently, we were doing a version of Unbelievable. We're hoping to work with an orchestra, a kids' orchestra, on it. And I was trying to reinvent that sample in some way. And I'm thinking, I can't go, "What the fuck was that?" With a bunch of kids and stuff. And this orchestra is in Ireland, and there's one in Ireland. They say feck, and feck's a much lighter word. So now I'm trying to do a version with it. Oh, what the fuck was that?
Almost sounds like it's dubbed in with the beep.
Yeah, exactly. Perhaps that would be better. Yeah.
Well, after chorus 1, we get that 8-bar reintro. Same overall instrumentation as the intro, but the main stereo guitar lick is nice and loud here. And I hear what sounds like, Ian, a wind type sound, like a flanger pedal that's just been left on by itself humming.
Oh.
You're unbelievable.
You know that sound of a flanger pedal is just kind of ominous, kind of just hanging in the air.
Oh, that's interesting.
It's probably something that Ralph did, like a backwards sample of some nature that's just kind of swirling back there. But what a texture in this reintro.
Oh, that's really interesting. That might just be the sound of the guitars.
Could be the synth sound in there. Maybe there's some sauce on that. I'm not sure what I'm hearing, but it's very cool. And this, of course, brings us in to verse 2.
By telling me more about mine.
burden me with your problems by telling me more about mine. Man, what a great line that is. I'm always so concerned with the way you say you're always at stop.
You always have to stop. You burden me with your problems by telling me more than mine. That's a classic one in a relationship, isn't it? It's like
Uh-huh.
when you go and you say, "Oh, I'm so tired," and somebody says, "No, I'm so tired. I'm more tired." And it's like that thing, right? What's the next bit?
I'm always so concerned with the way you say
Say
you're
you always have to stop.
you always have to stop. Okay. And then it goes on to say, to think of us being one is more than I ever know. But this time I realize I'm going to shoot through and leave you. Again, we get that lyric there, and it happens 3 times. So again, it's almost like a pre-chorus setup. Let's talk about that.
Oh,
Was there ever a discussion of, hey, I probably shouldn't use this lyric 3 times? Because then from there it goes into the things you say, which is repeated 3 times. So it's almost like a double pre-chorus, and then the chorus is just like I said, you're unbelievable. So I'm looking at this song so differently now. It's fascinating.
You can tell you're a songwriter because you're just analyzing the chord structures and the lyrical structure of it. And yeah, I'd never thought of that before.
It's brilliant, though. Again, for a dance song, rap is indicative of this. You just want that hook. You want them singing along. Why not have it back in? Do you need more information? You're talking to the person. When we argue or talk to a significant other or a business associate, sometimes we go back and forth like that.
Yeah, true enough.
And we say some of the same things over and over and over.
Yeah. And I know it's interesting. To be fair, James modified. I think the shoot you was from James. I think I was going to shoot through. The shoot through was from James. I'm going to shoot through and leave you. And I just think he liked saying it. And I just sometimes you just get those hooky things that sound good. It seems casual, doesn't it? I'm going to shoot through and leave you. I'm just going on. I'm going about my way.
No, but that's something also that I wouldn't find myself saying as an American. I'm going to shoot through. I'm going to push through, or what? I understand what you're saying there, but that's again the allure of a young kid from America hearing songs like this. It's like, oh, I know what he means, but why do they say it that way?
That's interesting.
Yeah.
That's funny because I really thought that that would have been that was an Americanism.
If it was, it's unlike one I've ever really used or heard of. I mean, I understand what you're coming from, certainly, but it's a little bit of an odd lyric for this American. I can't speak for everybody. Verse 2. Same overall instrumentation, but it sounds like a toggle switch fluttering off to the right, very low in the mix throughout this verse.
Always so concerned with the way you say you always have to stop to think first.
Oh, do you know what it is? Is that the
almost intermittent interference or something.
So that is this. I'm going to show you this. That is this. It's a Yamaha CS10, and our sound was built on that and my mum's piano. So we used my mum's piano because it felt like a housey thing, and the synth gave it that electronicness because we loved all that acid electronic music that was coming through, and just having a like that, it sort of bleeps along in the verse. It goes and which sort of goes with the boom, cha, boom, boom, cha of the loop, cha, boom, boom, cha, and then when it hits the chorus, the low note holds. And the top line does the riff, and you get this 16 that and so it pedals on the G sharp low and the high. So I'd have done. Well, you can see this here. And you hold the low one, and it was wonderful how it did this, and it just sounded like one of those acid tracks.
Yeah,
it was us mashing it up again, like mashing up acid sounds with guitar sounds and hip hop sounds. And
that's so cool. With the line, to think of us being one, those stereo guitars come back in subtly, as well as the single piano notes. And when we get to the end lyric, those same lyrics, But this time I realize I'm going to shoot through and leave you. The guitars here in verse 2 go to an arpeggiated phrasing exactly like the intro at the top of the song before going into verse 1, but it's not there on verse 1. That arpeggiated part. And I love that how this song builds. It's like, man, you took the element from the intro, that arpeggiated, and threw it now in the second verse. It's awesome.
Oh, once again, you're such a songwriter. You just see, because I'm thinking, you got to build it, you got to tease, you got to, and that's, talking of blues licks, that's a classic one. Yeah, that's a proper bit of blues, and
there you go.
So yeah, and that could have come out from Robbie Krieger was my man with the blues. I mean, from the Doors, he processed the blues. He sort of took the blues and put weird sounds with it, and those like a distortion and like.
Man, Ian, I already thought there was a lot going under the hood here with this song, and you're blowing my mind. There's a lot here. Just where you're coming from the blues, the punk aesthetic, plus the dance component, the dance elements. It's just so cool. Chorus 2, which I'm calling the second pre-chorus.
The things you say, your purpose just give you away. The things you say, you're unbelievable.
The things you say, your purple prose just give you away. The things you say, you're unbelievable. And then we get into a 16-bar re-intro hook. We get the, oh, Dice Clay. We get the, what the. But then panned off to the left, it almost sounds like a quick record scratch with, remember when Flava Flav used to say, yeah, boy, is that him there?
That was off one of those classic scratch records. It goes, one, like that. It's just. I'm not quite sure.
I almost sound like it points like it's Flava Flav going like it's like a scratch boy.
It might. You know what? It might be Flava. It's one of those classic.
Okay.
I think all sorts of people used it. It's on loads of records.
Why? And I know that we always like to build songs, of course, Ian. But why here? Why wasn't that in the other parts of the song? You're just hearing it now for the first time.
I guess just to give it a sense of development. I like doing that. You want sort of clarity early on. So space. You want the less things you have in a song is great, but you want it to build. You want little elements to come in and be sort of ear candy and to make the thing develop and to make the rhythm slightly more complex and sophisticated as you go on. And
it's brilliant. I absolutely love what it does there, and I love this next part because again it is a bridge, but we're still in the world where it feels like it's almost a verse going on. But this is definitely what I'm calling the bridge. For the first half, it's just vocals, that loop mixed with analog drums I'm hearing here. Is that where they come in for the first time?
Well, all the drums were samples. We programmed the drums. Yeah, so it's that loop. It's the classic hip hop loop. You were saying was a tambourine. It's actually just a hi-hat. Is the hi-hat from the loop. And then we programmed, and again, Ralph had some great drum sound here. I think it's like a Led Zeppelin kick. It's a big like there's so again, it's rock and dance. It's got the real low sub of the loop, which is a classic hip hop thing. But then you've got the cut of the Zeppelin kick and a big snare as well. So again, like the drums are doing, hip hop and rock, and so it's just a bit more exposed here because James is just rapping in this bit.
Pushing down the reds and bringing out your high self. Think of the fun time, pushing down the better view instead of bringing the attitudes to what the world and everything your attitude. Brace yourself, with grace and peace. I know this world and what it seems. It's
unbelievable. Seemingly lastless don't mean you can ask us. Pushing down the relative, bringing out your higher self. Think of the fine times, pushing down the better few instead of bringing out the clues. To want the world and everything you're asked to. Brace yourself with the grace of ease. I know this world ain't what it seems. What the was that? It's unbelievable.
It says it, doesn't it? It says it. What was it? Well, James wrote the rap. James liked writing raps, and again, this is what's funny, and I guess what you like as an American you find interesting, right? Is that it is American culture being regurgitated back, via sort of fey British guitar rock being regurgitated back to the States, and he just loved writing rap, and he still writes great raps. He just makes a load of words, and I love it because I mean it's sort of about seemingly lastest don't mean you can ask us, pushing down the relative, bringing out your highest. And I think of the find it's almost like what you say yourself to yourself when you're going to leave somebody. And I think that's why I love it. Those, especially the pushing down the relative, bringing out your higher self. Think of the fine times, pushing down the better for you instead of bringing out the clues to what the world and everything you asking to brace yourself with the grace of ease. No, this world ain't what it seems. And
It's almost like a pep talk to yourself.
it's a pep talk to yourself. That's exactly what it is. And it's lovely, and it comes from a slightly different place because I wrote all the other bits and James wrote that.
I
And
love the innocence here because you guys were you don't pick this up on MTV. You guys were bigger, larger than life. I was a kid, but you guys were having fun. It sounds like you're kind of goofy. You're like, we're these, goofy white kids from England. We're never going to be rappers, but we're going to put a little rap section in our song.
yeah, hey,
Yeah.
we love rap. We're going to put it in, and there's a joy in EMF, and I think that, and even now when we play, it's like people leave smiling because it's just got energy and excitement, and we had that joy. We had that joy for life, and we loved music, and we just wanted to put a bit of the things that we loved in our music. And yeah, goofy. Are we? I think we're still a little bit goofy. We're nerds. We love music, and we're just throwing ideas around and mix them up.
I think most of us are, Ian. Some of the biggest nerds in music are these big tattooed metal guys I talk to at festivals, and we start geeking out on Star Wars or something.
I love that. I love that.
Well, in the bridge, halfway through, the bass synth comes back in, and I don't know what the rant was that. We get some sporadic cowbell hits. I want to talk about those in a second. And then we get It's Unbelievable. This very American kind of panned off left, just accent talking there. Who was that? You said that was a sample too?
I think that's Andrew Dice Clay again. I think, yeah.
Okay, it doesn't sound like him. Let's talk about the cowbell a little bit.
Well,
These sporadic cowbell hits are so like I often think in songs in terms of like, do they have to be there? What if they weren't there? And they're such a subtle part, but they're such a big part of this song to me at the same time.
well, that's very interesting because the cowbell is in was that sample, and it's when you obviously somebody had recorded something off the television and there's a cowbell in the background and there's a voice, and you can't remove. These days you've got programs and you can remove stuff, right?
I thought the cowbell was overdubbed over the sample. You guys did that.
No, listen, it sort of kind of is because the in the word bit of it goes, what the bibum was that, and there's a little behind it is da 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 da, and it's all part of the same sample, and it sounded like it was a rhythm and it needed an answer, so I just sampled an empty cowbell off it and played a little answer to it. So in the first got you go what what the, and he goes ba 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 ba, what the ba 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 ba, and then I do a little answer da 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 da, like just with the cowbell, and then he goes what the, and I do another little answer da 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 da, and it's just one of those little intricate little things that seem to make sense. You're trying to get some equilibrium in the rhythm, and it was a lovely little thing.
I mean, this is just, I got my heads buried in my face for those that can't see me at home listening. I am just blown away because, again, I know when you made this record, I never made dance records to think of like, hey, we got to have a call and response with a cowbell here. That would never be on my radar, man. That is the coolest thing ever.
Yeah, if you call with a cowbell, you've got to respond.
I mean, is this from Living Out in the Fields of Gloucester? Is this...
I need to tell that. I'm going to make a story up like that. It's like, if you call with a cowbell, you got to respond. That's just the country life. That's the life in the country.
I think I got to lead the intro off with that, Ian. That's amazing. Verse 3. Same lyrics as verse 1, but we get the instrumentation of verse 2, where the first half of the verse is pretty bare, but the back half has the stereo guitars and those single piano notes again. Same lyrics, and again, we get these times I've realized I'm going to shoot through and leave you into now what is a double chorus with a different lyric halfway through.
It's unbelievable. You burden me with your questions. You have me tell no lies. You're always asking what it's all about. Don't listen to my replies. You say to me I don't talk enough, but when I do, I'm a fool. These times I've spent, I've realized I'm shoot through and leave you. The things you say, your purpose just give you away. The things you say, in thought I love you more. The things you say, your purpose just give you away. The things you say, you're unbelievable.
The things you say, your purple prose just give you away. The things you say. Is this?
In thought, I love you more.
Okay, that's what I have written down in thought, because online, and we can't trust anything online, Ian, usually, it says, it's why I love you more, but I thought in thought I love you more.
Yeah.
Okay.
So again, don't know quite what that means. I think James threw that one in there.
And again, in thought I love you more, totally understand it. It's perfect English, but it's not something I would say. And you pick those things out as a young listener. I just absolutely love it. The back half, the things you say, your purple prose just give you away. The things you say, you're unbelievable by itself. And let's talk about that being by itself, that hook. And every time it happens, was that important? There was no weird sample, another dice clay, over it or something. Like, I think it's important that was alone.
Yeah, I mean, that's just how the song was written. Boom, you're unbelievable. Bah. It's just like, so strange, isn't it? It's such a little thing, but there's joy in that, right? There's unbelievable.
I've talked about this on the show, okay? And I didn't write this song. I can sit back and go, that's so easy. You're unbelievable. Everybody could understand that lyric. Just sing it alone in the greatest song and it'll be a hit. But I didn't think of that. You did.
There's just something about those bits that all come together, right? I mean, it's not just thinking of that, but it's also James's, delivery of it. He's so sort of cool and casual of it. There's a great guitar riff. The rhythm is really groovy and cool. And I don't know, God, Chris, I don't know. I've spent 35 years trying to write another Unbelievable, and I haven't managed it. So
I love that you have managed it. Maybe not for your own band, but you've managed it. But I will say, I've had other artists say that to me. They had this simple song. I had someone recently on from American Hi-Fi say the same thing. He says, I've been trying to write another single like the first one.
Right.
All these, and hey, some of us don't even get one. So it's amazing that you did. The very end of this tune is, I'm going to call it a little odd, because we come out and it's basically just the intro hook as the outro for like the last minute of this song.
You're unbelievable. You're so unbelievable. You're unbelievable. You're unbelievable.
We get a oh, what the? We get that boy sample panned off left. We get a what the, and then you're so unbelievable with the boy sample. Another what the with this boy sample. Another what the, and a you're unbelievable. The vocal just by itself there. And then we go into a 16-bar guitar solo, rock guitar solo, kind of like a wah on it and whatnot. that's kind of a rock move. We're going to do an outro solo here. As far as dance goes, Michael Jackson was a big proponent of that in his tunes when they would fade out, have a guitar solo. But it's great. It almost feels like the guitar solo would have came earlier in the song. Let's talk about the placement of the solo a little bit here.
I can't remember. I mean, not quite why I did it there. I mean, I always play guitar solos, foolishly. Every time we do a tour, I have to relearn them all. And it's like, why didn't anybody say to me, like, just, perhaps we could not have a guitar solo in this song? And I just I love the Doors. And I just, Robbie Krieger would play guitar solos. And I just thought everybody needed a guitar solo in a song. And Chris, I can't say anything more than that. But I love it that there's a guitar solo in a pop song. Because there aren't many guitar solos. You say Michael Jackson, absolutely, but there aren't many guitar solos the other day. I think there's a Chapel Roan song that's got a guitar solo in it, and I'm like, yes, great, a guitar solo. Get to bring the guitar solos back.
Yeah, well, I was speaking from this time period. If you go back, and again, this is ushering in the 90s, and as we all know, rock and hip hop and rock and dance music all kind of clashed then, and there was no rules, and that's what this song shows to me. There was no rules here. You guys were throwing things out. You were, using backwards samples. You were using Dice Clay samples, which still just kills me that these English guys are like, yeah, we're going to use this guy, which you knew he was a polarizing figure, which
right.
at the end of the day, it absolutely worked for this song. After the guitar solo, we get another It's Unbelievable that you're saying it's Dice Clay there. It's just spoken. It sounds very American accent wise. And then we get what the with that boy sample, another what the with the boy sample, another what the, and then we get a what the was that, and then You're Unbelievable by itself just to tie everything together and the tune's over. And to think about this song from a radio perspective, to go back, because everything was radio and MTV back then. Yeah. The minute this song came on, you knew immediately what it was. And if you tuned in at the very last 12 seconds, you got to hear the hook, the song, what I'm calling the chorus, You're Unbelievable by itself. This song's unbelievable. And Ian, I want to thank you for sitting here to discuss it today. Thank you.
Thank you, Chris. And, you've got a great ear. You've picked up on all sorts of details of it that I haven't spoken about in a long time. So it's been a real pleasure. Thank you.
Absolutely. And I hope that the tour is going fantastic. And anything else coming up that you'd like to plug right now, now's the time.
Oh, well, thank you so much. Just really come see us play live. We're a great live band. It's a joyous experience, and check out our latest album, The Beauty and the Chaos. It's on Spotify, or you can order a vinyl copy from our website, emftheband.com. So that's what we got going on.
Perfect. Well, again, thank you so much, and have a great rest of your day. I really appreciate it.
Thanks so much, Chris. That was fun.
It's time to meet you.
Hey everybody, the song you're hearing right now is Hello People, which is the first track on EMF's latest album called The Beauty and the Chaos. So make sure you check that out. And don't go anywhere. We got lots more Krista Makes a Podcast coming right up after a few words from our sponsors.
Hey there, travelers. Kaylee Cuoco here. Sorry to interrupt your music, great artist BT Dubs, but wouldn't you rather be there to hear it live? With Priceline, you can get out of your dreams and into your dream concert. They've got millions of travel deals to get you to that festival, gig, rave, sound bath, or sonic experience you've been dreaming of. Download the Priceline app today, and you can save up to 60% off hotels and up to 50% off flights. So don't just dream about that trip. Book it with Priceline.
Go to your happy price, Priceline.
This episode is brought to you by Amazon Prime. From streaming to shopping, Prime helps you get more out of your passions. So whether you're a fan of true crime or prefer a nail-biting novel from time to time, with services like Prime Video, Amazon Music, and fast free delivery, Prime makes it easy to get more out of whatever you're into or getting into. Visit Amazon.com/Prime to learn more.
Pro Paint Days are back at Lowe's, and My Lowe's Pro Rewards members can save even more with limited time deals. Right now, buy one, get one half off select HGTV Home by Sherwin-Williams primer and ceiling paint. Plus, get free same-day delivery to your job site when you order by 2 p.m. Offer valid through 6/13, delivery by 8 p.m., subject to driver availability. Additional terms apply. See Lowe's.com/same-day delivery for details.
McCrispy strips are now at McDonald's. I hope you're ready for the most dippable chicken in McDonald's history. Dip it in all the sauces. Dip it in that hot sauce in your bag. Dip it in your McFlurry. Your dip is your business. McCrispy strips at McDonald's.
Brace the rudders! Raise the sails! Raise the sails!
Captain, an unidentified ship is approaching. Over.
Roger. Wait, is that an enterprise sales solution?
Reach sales professionals, not professional sailors. With LinkedIn ads, you can target the right people by industry, job title, and more. We'll even give you a $100 credit on your next campaign. Get started today at linkedin.com/results. Terms and conditions apply.
Learning through play starts with Lego Duplo. With Lego Duplo, toddlers can develop real-life skills while having fun with colorful bricks made just for them. Large, easy to grip, and safe to explore. When children express themselves with Lego Duplo, they build patience, problem-solving, and empathy. See your child learn perseverance and self-expression with everything they imagine and create. Visit lego.com/preschool to learn more.
Hey friends, have you been loving Krista Makes a Podcast? Well, spread the love by leaving a 5-star review on Apple Podcasts and Spotify. Don't hesitate to share what you enjoy about the show in an actual written review on Apple Podcasts. Not only does it help more people discover us, but we often read reviews in the wrap segment of the show. It's a quick, cost-free way to support us and takes just a minute of your time. Your reviews mean the world to us and help us keep the podcast thriving. Thank you for being a listener, and thank you for being a friend.
As we near the end of the show, here's a band you might not know.
Welcome to this week's Band You Might Not Know. If you'd like your band to be considered for Krista Makes a Podcast, email your best song via MP3 only and a short bio to bandyoumighttnotknow@gmail.com. This week's featured artist is Lost Planet Airmen, who have a new album coming out very soon called Take Me Home. Singer and bass player Danger Dave says the song follows someone who was lost at a shopping mall and is adopted by a band of gypsies. They travel the countryside looking for the perfect soup recipe. Or maybe it's not about that at all. It's not like I wrote it. Well, way to sell it, Danger Dave. Here's a snippet of their song, Forgotten Son.
Take me, oh, take me, oh, take me home. Take me, oh, take me, oh, take me home. Take me, oh, take me, oh, take me home. Take me home.
The Wrap with Chris and Chris.
Chris, I was very excited about this episode. I will tell you that as a kid, I think this was either the first or second cassette single I ever bought. If you remember cassette singles that you could get for like 99 cents or $1.99 at National Record Mart. And man, I love this song. And I love this song in general. So I was really excited about this.
That's right. The cassette single was our generation's 45 record, Chris.
Yes, that's right.
Essentially was. You'd get the single on one side, you'd flip it over, and there'd be some awful B-side on the backside you did not want to hear typically.
Yeah.
But
right.
Then we just put some tape over the cassette, some Scotch tape, and record our favorite song over it. But man, I had a great talk with Ian today. What a world-class musician, and I had no idea of all his accomplishments outside of EMF. Really impressive.
You know what I think a good lesson to take away as a musician or a songwriter from this episode is if you keep working at your craft and get yourself out there, you never know where it's going to take you. Next thing you know, you're writing a song for Beyonce. You know, it's just like, just Forrest Gump your way through it to a certain extent. Just keep working on what you do, and you never know who you're going to run into. I mean, it wasn't just Beyonce. Earlier in the story, he ran into Rick Rubin somewhere and got the sample cleared for the song. Then he runs into Andrew Dice Clay. That didn't really amount to much. That was more of just a funny story. But it's just wild. Like, if you just put yourself out there and you work at what you do, anything's possible.
Yeah, and they're over here, meeting the label execs. They're young kids. They're staying next to the Comedy Store right on Sunset, a couple blocks from the Rainbow. You want to talk about living life? This is 1990. They were living life. And then, to write this song as a kid and then just have it thrown into the stratosphere like it was. All the samples, it doesn't seem so crazy now, but this was cutting edge stuff that was going on. People, you didn't hear this sound, this amalgamation of dance mixed with rock. And then he blew my mind going into the blues and all the other influences that he has.
Yeah, this guy has a lot of, like, a huge musical background and a lot of influences beyond just dance music. You brought up the dance music element a lot, but yeah, this guy's influenced from everything from rock to blues to punk, everything. You can hear all of that in this song, which I think is really cool. Something you didn't touch on, Chris, that I was actually curious about, so I had to do my own internet research. Did you know what purple prose is? I didn't know that term.
That's funny that you say that. I didn't ask about that. And if I were to guess, purple would be lifeless, like death.
No.
No?
It's actually excessively ornate or flowery writing that draws unnecessary attention to itself, potentially hindering the readability and enjoyment of the text. Basically, it's just it leaves the reader confused or tired. And I have an example of a sentence if you want to hear purple prose.
Okay.
An example would be, Jacob strolled to a nearby driftwood tree that had its roots sticking out like the attenuated legs of a huge pale spider. Like, it's just like by the end of the sentence, you're like, what? What was even the beginning of that sentence? It's just like, it's too much, basically, is what he's getting at.
Interesting. Yeah, I was kind of comparing purple with, like, death when the body goes purple, your purple prose, but that explains a lot. No, I did not ask him that. There was something else that I got to the very end and I almost didn't ask him, Chris, and I'm glad I did. I can't recall where it was now, but there was so much in this song. I had a list going. I'm like, I want to touch on everything. I'm glad you brought that up.
Well, also, the other thing I wanted to talk about is we did a One Hit Thunder episode about this years ago, and it was a lot of fun because we did a lot of ohs in it. We kept doing that thing. But I've been falsely telling everybody, I'm glad that Ian cleared this up so I don't spread this misinformation anymore, even though he's partially responsible for it because of their lyric sheet. But they actually don't say fuck in it because I told so many people that, like, they fooled everybody because they messed up the audio enough that the radio stations didn't know they were saying fuck in the song and they slipped it by. Well, as it turns out, that's just a whatever, lore or wives' tale, but he did contribute to that because they put it in the lyric book. So that's why I thought that.
Well, yeah. And like he said, they were trying to do it to be edgy. And hey, if you, any type of controversy, like, are they saying the F word on the radio? Especially for that time, whatever works and sells records, and good for them. Don't miss EMF. They're going to be on the West Coast in a couple days, June 14th. Through the 28th. Ian said they're going to be finishing up, Chris, in Las Vegas, which could be a rough end of tour stop. But go check them out, June 14th through the 28th, EMF. And if you haven't already, go over to chrisdemakes.com and sign up for our Patreon. It helps keep the lights on over here at Chris DeMakes a Podcast, and we really appreciate your help, as well as those 5-star ratings. Chris, I know you got one ready for us this week.
I got one. Go to Apple Podcasts or Spotify, give us 5 stars. On Apple Podcasts, you can actually do a written review. I don't know if you can do that on Spotify. You can leave comments on the episodes. We like reading those too. But if you're going to leave us a written review, we might read it at the end of the episode like I'm about to do. Chris, this one today is a 5-star review from someone named Nuckin' Futz.
Nuckin' Futz. All right. What's up, Nuckin' Futz?
Nuckin' Futz said, Krista makes this podcast amazing, is the title of this review. And Nuckin' Futz said, Chris and Chris make an amazing team that puts out amazing episodes week after week. I have learned so much about songwriting, as well as some bands and songs I was not familiar with too. A must subscribe. Thanks, Nuck and Futz.
Wow. That's Killy Rule. Killy Rule.
What?
That's Killy Rule.
What's that mean?
Really cool. That's a spooner. That's called a spoonerism, Chris. That's what Nuck and Futz is. It's called a spoonerism.
That's yes. Nuck and Feis.
Nuck and Feis. There you go. Well, hey everybody, thanks for listening today. I want to thank this week's guest, Ian Dench, for sitting in with us. It's truly been unbelievable. We'll see you next week.
I'm ducking Fum for not knowing what you were talking about. Hey, I'm Chris Fafalius, producer of Chris to Makes a Podcast, and also host of One Hit Thunder. Each week on the One Hit Thunder podcast, we take a look into a one-hit wonder band or artist to determine if they deserved more success or if they were lucky to even have a hit at all. We've covered When in Rome, Jaquan, Shanice, Yellow, Squirrel Nut Zippers, Jesus Jones, Positive K, Mazzy Star, and hundreds more. With new episodes every Wednesday and special guests from the worlds of music and comedy, we always have nonstop fun, and maybe, if we're lucky, we discover some new favorite music. So if you love great songs and you often find yourself asking, whatever happened to that band? Check out One Hit Thunder wherever you get your podcasts. Hey everybody, it's Chris to Makes a Podcast producer Chris Fafalius here. Hey, we want to create the best overall listening experience possible for you. So we'd appreciate your feedback about the show. We want to learn more about you, the listener, and your interests to provide the best experience possible for you and our sponsors who support the show. So we're asking if you'd please go to theshowsurvey.com/Chris to take a very short anonymous survey. It would help us out a lot, and as a reward, survey participants will be entered into a drawing to win a $100 Amazon gift certificate. Again, that's theshowsurvey.com/Chris for the quick survey to help the show. Each week, we'll select a winner for participating in this. So if you don't mind, just take a few minutes and do it. Thanks, everybody.